Hello there, I'm Deb, and this is Ted, and we're from TinyTalk Kent Downs. We're joining you today for the 5th in our series of TinyTalk TED Talks, where we explain different elements of baby signing for you. Today's topic is all about why choose TinyTalk. I just want to hang on a couple of seconds just to make sure people can find us today. If you haven't already checked out our previous editions of these TED Talks, they are all available on our Facebook page, which is TinyTalk Kent Downs, and also on our YouTube channel. You can also check out the Facebook event, where they're all on there as well, covering all the bases. Let me silence the music and we can get started. So today we are talking about why choose TinyTalk. Now if you think about it, mums, you're only on maternity leave for a really short period of time, and let's face it, that pay doesn't go very far either. So you want to spend your money on getting the very best experience for you and your child during those first few precious months and weeks of their life, before you head back to work and it all changes again. So there are hundreds and hundreds of classes that you could choose from for you and your child, anything from swimming to baby massage, to sensory activities, to singing, and signing is another one of those activities that you have to pick from. And personally, the thing that I loved best about it, because I took both my kids to TinyTalk before I became a teacher, was that I felt like I was learning something as well. You know, when you've come from being like a successful woman in your own right, you might have had a successful career, or you might have been strong and confident in whatever you were doing before you have children. Then babies come along and everything goes out the window. So you all of a sudden feel a little bit lost, a little bit like, you know, I'm not sure what I'm doing with this whole parenting thing. And it actually felt like such an amazing thing for me to do, to go to a baby class where my children were entertained and they were learning something useful, but also where I felt like I was using my brain as well. Nothing worse than your brain just going to mush because you just talk to a tiny person all day long and don't actually interact. So that was one of the most important things about TinyTalk for me, was that I was using my brain and learning a new skill for me, which turned out to be a life skill. Much as it is for many of our attendees, you go thinking that you're going to entertain your baby for a few weeks before you go back to work. Before you know it, they've picked up on these signs and you've learned a whole scheme of communication between you, but also you've learned something as well, and that's really important. It's kind of like a community, really. TinyTalk isn't just a class. In fact, if you check out our hashtags, more than just a class, or not all baby signing classes are the same, you'll get loads of information about why that is the case. We are very much a community of like-minded parents all doing the best for their child. There's opportunity in all of our classes, whether or not they're the face-to-face classes, back in the olden days, remember that? Or whether or not it's our current online classes, there's always a really strong focal, social focus to those classes. In the online classes, you get to participate and comment and react, and share what's going on at home with your teacher. Your teacher can call out your child's name and nothing gives them a boost more than having their name called. Your teacher can interact. Whoa, great sighting, Tim. Loads of different ways in which you can connect and feel like you're together in a space, even though we're online, which is a great way of running a class. We're going to talk a lot more about that towards the end of the week when we do our final session. But in our face-to-face classes, we sit down, have an actual cup of tea, have some biscuits, kids get to play, there's snacks, you get to actually chat with other grown-ups. And for a new parent, there's nothing better than that, than feeling like it's not just you going through these crazy challenges. If that's not your vibe, if you're not into kind of chatting and kind of, you know, mingling as such, it's a safe space for you just to sit, watch your child, maybe listen to some conversations. You don't have to contribute. It's certainly not a kind of, you know, prescribed, organised social chat. It's just a chance to have a natter if you fancy it. And loads of our parents report having made the most amazing friendships through TinyTalk. And for me as a teacher, it's been an absolute privilege to watch those friendships grow over the years. It's all about shared experience at the end of the day. We're all parents going through the same challenges and having other people around you who kind of feel the same way about things, learning from them, getting tips and pointers and ideas in a kind of friendly, warm environment is what it's all about for us. I can see some people watching whose names I recognise. Hello you guys, thanks for being with us today. We're talking about why choose TinyTalk. Now actually in the class itself there are loads of different ways that TinyTalk kind of stands out a bit. Let me just plug a battery in, sorry guys, a bit wobbly there. I wobbled you. Loads of different ways in which TinyTalk stands out as being a little bit different from some of the other classes that you might go to. First of all, there aren't any kind of, membership fees. You don't have to wear a certain t-shirt if you come along. We're not into kind of what you look like and getting your money for all the kind of add-ons and things that some groups encourage you to do. It's a great value opportunity just to learn, and learning is at the core of everything that we do. It gives our children an amazing foundation when they move on to things like preschool and primary school and even later in life as well. We use British Sign Language signs within our classes, so it is an official living language, and you might find that when your child does move on to preschool or primary school as well, that they are using exactly those signs within their setting. Loads of preschools and primaries these days are using signs to make their setting more inclusive, to make learning a lot more accessible to everybody, whether or not they have hearing impairments, whether or not they speak different languages. It's just a great way for little children to communicate. And if you have listened to our talks over the last few days of this week, then you'll understand some of the pointers there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, hop on the Facebook event and check out those previous talks. In the classes themselves, we use a range of fun props. Ted comes with me every day, and he's a massive hit with the children as well. He can kind of wave at you on the screen, he can call out your name, he can poke up and say peekaboo. There's loads of kind of fun ways in which the children react to Ted. He kind of gets them pointing, he gets them talking, loads and loads of interactions with Ted, which is lovely. We do use lots of things with noises, lots of sensory props. When our classes are face-to-face, there's loads of things for little people to touch and engage with and watch. And we try and replicate as much of that as possible in our online context as well. The fact that we are talking about learning a communication skill as well, now that's pretty valuable in terms of a parenting tool. And we did talk about that earlier in the week, this week. But essentially, it does lead to a much better bond between you and your child, which in turn leads to less frustration, less crying, less guesswork. I mean, who wouldn't want that in your household? That for me is an absolute no-brainer. Like, if you've only got one class to come to, make it a class where they give you these elements to your parenting, other tools in your parenting toolbox. I absolutely love the fact that TinyTalk is an established brand as well. We've been going for 18 years. I no longer really have to sell the concept of baby signing because it's been going for a long time and lots of people understand the benefits of it. But it's lovely to have the confidence when you come to a TinyTalk class that what you're enjoying has come from 18 years worth of development, investment, knowledge. A vast array of people have given time and energy and love and wisdoms to making our TinyTalk programme what it is. And we're really proud of the quality of our classes that we deliver, whether or not they're online or whether they're face-to-face. Even though we've been going for a long time, we still have a really kind of fresh and modern feel about it. Only a few years ago we went through a major rebranding, so just to keep things fresh and vibrant and exciting. There's nothing worse than kind of dated approach to things, and that's not at all what you'll find at TinyTalk. Also, we offer you home learning support as well, so it's not just your 1 hour in your class. There are home learning materials available where you continue your learning outside of a class setting, and that's really important for getting other caregivers involved, for sharing what we do with other parents if they're working, with grandparents, with wider family members. It's a really useful way to support your learning that you do in class, and that's really important as well. We definitely don't shut the door at the end of our hour. All of our teachers are contactable pretty much 24/7. We do have a life, but we're always there at the end of email or on our Facebook, maybe even in WhatsApp groups to some extent. Always contactable if you need help with signs, if you just want to share the joy that your child's just made a sign. And we do just have that kind of open book approach, and I'm really proud of that as well. It's just lots and lots of our class attendees do become friends eventually because we love those guys and they love what we do. So I think that kind of speaks for itself, really. So hopefully that's given you a little bit of an idea as to why TinyTalk should be the beneficiary of your hard-earned maternity pay, mums. So if you want to learn more, do check out our social media pages, TinyTalk Kent Downs. The website itself is tinytalk.co.uk, and if you're watching from other areas and not in Kent, just tap in your postcode on that main page there and you can find the teacher that's nearest to you who's offering the classes that we do as well. As well as our baby signing classes, we also do classes for newborns and for toddlers, so it's not just a one-size-fits-all approach. Very tailored, specific age development, age-appropriate activities for different stages of development. So do check it out. If you fancy a trial class, give me a shout and we'll get you in. Thanks very much for listening today, guys. Our talk tomorrow is all about signing in a multilingual family. So if you know anybody who falls into that category, if your friends who speak multiple languages at home have just had a baby, do give them the nod, because signs, dead helpful in that context. We'll tell you all about it tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.